Hello everyone, my name is Harsh Chaudhary and along with me I have Rakshita Satyanarayan and Pranay Patel, and we are the analytical team for Australian Outdoors. So today's agenda is pretty straightforward. We'll first have a look at the findings by analyzing the data set, after which we will dive deep into the recommendations as well as the impact on the relevant stakeholders it has. Now first up, the executive summary. Now the purpose of the presentation is to investigate and analyze issues associated with the people hampering the company's performance, wherein we'll focus on employee engagement as well as customer satisfaction. Now the biggest limitation for us was that the data sets only included a limited time frame. A longer time period would have been significantly better for us. Furthermore, there's also a lack of industrial comparison data. Now, in terms of methodology, we conducted multi-source data analysis using Excel and statistical correlation techniques, examining employee voice survey data, customer satisfaction metrics, and operational performance indicators till 2023. Now, we basically found out three key findings. First one being the retention crisis at Australian Outdoors. 91 employees, tentatively around 30% of the staff members, have high intention to leave. Secondly is the department performance gap. Apparel and footwear department shows lowest engagement with a score of roughly around 4.35 out of 5. And the highest customer complaint, that was precisely 328 to be exact. Third is the stress performance link. 265 employees, roughly 88%, reported with high stress levels, directly correlating with the intention to leave. Lastly, the recommendations. We recommend immediate stress reduction interventions for apparel and footwear department, enhanced manager training and support system, and finally workload redistribution and process optimization. With all that, I pass on my colleague Pranay, who would discuss more about data analysis.
Thank you so much, Harsh. Now let's have a look at the data analysis. Is the key metrics dashboard. So the service indicated that employees were simply not engaged at the workplace. Out of the 300 employees that were surveyed, roughly 30% of the staff members had intentions to leave the company. Furthermore, on the customer front point of view, dissatisfaction is also very rampant. With almost 900 complaints, therefore it is vital that implementations of the recommendations do take place, which will greatly assist Australian Outdoors to save thousands in the long run. Scatter plot reveals that the statistical relationship we predicted from our literature review. Each pink dot represents one of our 300 employees, plotted according to their stress level and their intention to leave the company. What we see here is a strong correlation with the R value of 0.607 that is considered a strong statistical relationship in statistical terms. Notice the clear upward trend from bottom left to top right corner. Employees experiencing low stress, around 1 or 2 on our scale, show minimum intention to leave, clustering between 1 and 2.5 on the turnover intention scale. However, as we move towards the high stress employees, the rating of their stress at 4 to 5, we see the intention to leave dramatically increasing, with many employees rating their departure intention at 4 to 5 out of 5. This 0.607 correlation coefficient tells us that stress explains approximately 37% of the variance in turnover intention across our workforce. In practical terms, this means that high stress employees are at highest flight risk, and we have the statistical proof that reducing workplace stress will directly reduce intention to quit the job. Next up is the department risk matrix. The risk matrix provides a strategic roadmap for intervention priorities. We have plotted each department based on employee satisfaction versus customer complaints to identify where we need to focus our efforts. Our optimal green zone department and seasonal and clearance sets the benchmark with high satisfaction at 6.83 and low complaints at 193. show high satisfaction but elevated complaints, suggesting processes issues rather than morale issues. Accessories and essentials show that opposite is the case, right? So low satisfaction but fewer complaints, indicating we need employee-focused interventions. The apparel and footwear department is in crisis, however, with satisfaction score of just 5.06 and a staggering 328 complaints. It is our worst performer. This department is losing both employees as well as customers at alarming rate, making it our highest business risk. We need to intervene immediately with a comprehensive stress reduction program for the employees. Our department analysis reveals critical performance gaps across Australian outdoors that demand immediate attention. Looking at job satisfaction scores, we see a clear winner and a clear loser. Seasonal and clearance leads with an impressive 6.83 out of 7. That's exceptional performance by any standard. Outdoor gear follows respectively at 6.23, while accessories and essentials sit at 4.95, just below our acceptable threshold. But here's where the story gets concerning. Apparel and footwear struggles significantly at just 5.06 in job satisfaction. Furthermore, when we examine the customer complaint data, represented by the lighter colored bars on the chart, we see this devastating business impact. Apparel and footwear generates 328 customer complaints, representing 37% of all customer complaints across the entire company. That's more than 1/3 of our customer dissatisfaction coming from only one single department. The inverse relationship validates our theoretical framework from the literature review. Low employee satisfaction directly correlates with high customer complaints. When employees are disengaged and stressed, that frustration transfers directly to customer interactions. Apparel and footwear isn't just an employee problem, it also became a customer problem that threatens our brand reputation. Our multiple regression analysis provides the statistical validation that transforms our observation into actionable insights. With an R-squared of 0.68, our model explains 68% of the variance in turnover intention across our 300 employees. That exceptionally strong explanatory power in organizational research. The coefficient analysis reveals our intervention priorities. Stress emerges as the strongest predictor with a positive coefficient of 0.52, the highest impact factor in our model. This means for every 1 unit increase in perceived stress, we see half a unit increase in intention to leave. That is substantial and concerning. Our protective factors show equally compelling evidence. Job satisfaction carries a negative coefficient of 0.45, followed by manager support at negative 0.38 and work-life balance at negative 0.23. The negative coefficients confirms that these factors reduce turnover intentions. They are our retention levers. Critically, all predictors achieve statistical significance at the p-values less than 0.001 level. This isn't correlation by chance. We have 99.9% confidence these relationships are real and actionable. This statistical evidence strongly supports our targeted stress reduction interventions and provide the quantitative foundations for our recommended investments in management training as well as employee support programs. So back to employment engagement. So employee frustration at Australian Outdoors stems from perceived loss of autonomy as well as lack of connection within the organization. This suggests issues with organizational justice and to some extent stereotype content model theory, indicating one-sided work environment. Furthermore, another theory that's relevant to the current situation at Australian Outdoors is firstly the common in-group identity theory, which indicates that lack of strong bonds and belonging of the employees of the two Australian Outdoors. Another theory which is applicable is the social exchange theory, where communications among different staff members and departments is clearly not optimal levels. With that, I would like to pass on the baton to my colleague, Rakshita. Thank you.
Everyone, today I'll be discussing about the stakeholder impact of low employee engagement and customer dissatisfaction at Australian Outdoors and the prescriptive actions that we recommend to address these challenges. We'll cover how this issue affects the staff, the company, customers, competitors and investors before moving into practical phase solutions that ensure long-term growth and sustainability. Let's start with our immediate and most important stakeholder, our staff. Highly engaged employees are typically willing to go the extra mile, but when this becomes the baseline expectation, it leads to burnout and emotional exhaustion. Customer facing staff usually perform what we consider emotional labor and suppressing their own emotions to maintain positivity. Over time, this can lead to fatigue and detachment. We also see issues with work-life boundaries, with employees feeling pressure to always be on. And this intense environment fosters performance anxiety, especially when tied to unrealistic customer expectation and very rigid satisfaction metrics. Worse, when overachievement actually becomes expected, it goes unrecognized. Employees feel undervalued, under-resourced, and sometimes even punished for raising concerns, creating a culture of toxic positivity. Now coming to the company itself, while high engagement and satisfaction can seem like wins, they often mask complacency. If the company assumes that all is well, it can lose its urgency to innovate or adapt. Over-servicing customers may boost short-term satisfaction, but it's often not cost-effective or scalable. Leadership also risks burnout from maintaining high engagement levels without sustainable systems. An echo chamber effect can emerge where dissent is muted and internal voices that challenge the status quo are dismissed. Over time, this leads to a company that becomes too inward-looking, slow to change, and disconnected from emerging market realities. When a company like Australian Outdoors delivers exceptional customer service, their competitors suffer. Highly satisfied customers rarely like to switch brands, and this results in customer attrition for the competitors. It also includes reduced market share and brand damage due to direct comparisons. The competitors may also face resource strain, forced to increase marketing spend to counter organic word of mouth that satisfied customers provide for free for Australian Outdoors. Some may become risk averse or halt innovation altogether, putting them even further behind. From the customer perspective, poor employee engagement translates into inconsistent and frustrating service. Disengaged employees result in longer wait times, low enthusiasm, and service errors, breaking trust and eroding brand reputation. As negative experiences build up, customers leave and business enters a churn cycle, spending more to replace lost customers rather than retaining their loyal ones. Over time, this damages not just customer relationships, but the very value customer associate with the brand. And finally, for investors, these internal issues have direct consequences. Poor service leads to revenue loss, shrinking margins, and increased spending on customer acquisition and damage control. This can depress stock prices, reduce dividend payouts, and increase volatility, making the company a very risky investment. Eventually, the company may lose its core assets, its brand value, leading to long-term shareholder value erosion. So, how do we fix this? We recommend a 4-part strategic intervention, beginning with identifying the root cause and ending with sustainable performance tracking. So, how do we fix it? First, we diagnose what's really going on. This involves conducting anonymous employee and customer surveys, focus groups, and deep analysis of complaints. Often what we see is missed deadlines, high turnover, complaints. These are all symptoms, not the problem, and we need to keep asking why is this happening until we uncover the real cause. Next, we must prioritize employees. This includes investing in leadership training. Not just management, but coaching, emotional intelligence, and inclusive leadership. We also need to recognize achievements, create career development pathways, support the work-life balance, and ensure that they have the right tools. As the research shows, happy employees create happy customers. Then we turn to customer service. We recommend excellence training, which is focused on empathy, product knowledge, and first contact resolution. We also need to streamline customer journeys, optimize CRM systems, and empower frontline employees to make decisions on the spot. The goal is to create a seamless and memorable experience consistently. And finally, this isn't a set and forget process. We need regular pulse surveys, short frequent check-ins to measure how employees and customers are feeling. This allows us to quickly adapt, celebrate wins, and integrate feedback into performance reviews. By tracking trends and staying proactive, we can ensure long-term loyalty and engagement. So here's our 4-phase implementation plan to reduce turnover and enhance performance at Australian Outdoors. Phase 1 starts in July 2025 with diagnosing the issues through employee engagement and customer satisfaction surveys. In phase 2, from August to January, we'll boost employee engagement by investing in leadership training, career development, and internal communication. Phase 3 runs from October to March, focusing on enhanced customer satisfaction through streamlined, empowered service. And finally, from April 2026 onwards, Phase 4 sustains progress with ongoing surveys and quarterly reviews. The estimated budget for the first 12 to 18 months ranges from $11,400 to $46,000. It's time to transform Australian Outdoors by focusing on our people and our customers. We recommend starting with diagnostic planning immediately and forming a cross-functional project team by July the 12th. This isn't just HR, it's a strategic imperative for future growth, innovation, and loyalty. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present our ideas through this assignment, and also thank you for your time and attention.